Georgia has the #1 ranked defense in the country and a top 12 offense, including with the top 2 run defense and the best pass rush in the country. Meaning they're one of the best team winning back-to-back national championships. It's very hard to accomplish. The last time that was accomplished by 1995 and 1996. Nebraska, from my best knowledge. Either way, Georgia with Stetson Bennett gone. They're probably I can believe them going back-to-back national championships. The new QB depends on who starts. But I believe Stetson Bennett was not a good QB, so if they could win a championship with him, win it with any other, I believe they're a top-tier team. Obviously, they can beat Bama any day of the week, and they can beat any other team. Even though Ohio State lost in the semifinals last year, they had the #1 ranked receiver, probably in the draft, and projected to be a top 3 pick, and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the top, and they are having a QB battle, so you don't know why I have them ranked at #2. They have the second most talent for being in the Big Ten, what equals a high rank, because they don't have too much competition, because the Big Ten is not the best. The only teams they have is Michigan State, actually it's in the Big 12, my bad, Michigan, Ohio State. Those are the only good teams, and those are top-tier teams that probably could go with a pretty solid record in the ACC. In the SEC. So, hope you guys enjoyed that part. Michigan won the Big Ten last year, beating Ohio State, but lost in a close game to TCU in the playoff. But with J.J. McCarthy coming back and them having one of the most talented Big Ten out of the only 2 good teams, and them getting a lot of depth in the recruiting process and over 75% of their team has come back, which one of the top most in the FBS and college football. What's the same thing either way. So that's a good thing for Michigan. What usually equals good season, and with their team last year, good they did, I could believe them being in the top 3 and them possibility going to a national championship this time. They haven't done it in a while, but they have been close. But Michigan's a good team. Alabama, with the 3rd most national championships of all time, is #4 because of their off-season, and they have a QB battle, and people are considering this to be the worst QB year in a while. Or they've been a top-tier QB team. The last 4 QBs going in the NFL as first or second round picks. And most of their QBs usually do, but usually they have top-tier running backs, but Jahmyr Gibbs left for the NFL. So they might not have the most talent in running the ball, but they're still going to most likely do pretty solid. But I don't think they're going to make the national championship again, like they did a few years ago, like they should every year. I think they'll make a conference and make a play. #5, USC with Heisman winner Caleb Williams, a former receiver, ended up going to a draft in Jordan Addis. They ended up getting upset by Tulane in the bowl game, and they lost to Utah in the conference championship. Even though they're on a 2-0 losing streak, I think they can pull in still a good season. They've been successful all the time so far in the 1 year in Lincoln Riley, and he produced over, I believe, 3 Heisman winners. And Kyler. #6, we have the legendary Penn State, who has 2 national championships odds. Former coach John Franklin from Vanderbilt, who's in the last 40 years only at Vanderbilt has 4 winning seasons, and he has 3 of them. It's a very good accomplishment for the coach, proving he's really good. Andrew Sean Clifford doing pretty solid all the years he's been starting. Not doing insane, but he's been doing solid, but bringing good records. And coming in sophomore, Drew Allaire was a 5-star recruit, #1 in his class, so he should do pretty good. #7, we have LSU, who weren't supposed to be that good last year, but Brian Kelly brought him back into talent and ended up winning the ball game. And went 11-2, made the conference championship in the SEC, the best conference, but ended up losing. Still did pretty solid with Jaden Daniels, I believe was his name, at QB. and a pretty solid running back game, and did have a pretty solid receiver. They had a top 5 offense in the SEC and one of the best defenses in the SEC, so pretty good. And they have over like 60% of their players come back, so. Number 8, Florida State. Some people are saying that this team will be a top 5 team and make national championship. People have been overhyping them. I do believe they're a really top 10 team. A lot of people have been saying they're top 4 caliber, but I don't think there are. I believe them saying at number 8, but they did surprise a lot of people at their record last year, especially Jordan Travis. He had a really good year. I think if he keeps dominating and doing good, he could get drafted. I believe in Florida State this year, but not in the playoff spot. Number 9, we have Washington, who had Michael Pickton Jr., the number 1 passer, and I had over 5,000 yards, so it's very impressive, and almost beat Joe Burrow's passing touchdown record. They had a pretty average defense. Their passing offense was insane. Their run offense was okay. Number 10, we have the last 2 years, the Pac-12 champions, Utah, Cameron Rosen coming back for his senior year, who've been very good since he's been here, and won 2 conference championships in the Pac-12, but they are planning to move the Big 12, and them and USC are moving the Big 12 and UCLA into 24, and they are going to be a pretty good team, especially in the Big 12. But they are going to do very talented and win a lot of ball games in Utah. Number 11, I have the legendary Kansas State, last year's Big 12 champions. We're a pretty good run team, and we're a pretty good pass team. They were ultimately a good team, taking home the Big 12 championship over TCU. What was a very good game. If you did not watch it, I would check out the highlights. The QB did throw for over 300 yards. He did fumble, I believe, once or twice. It was a pretty good game. I would check that out if I was you. And let's get to the next team. We have number 12. Last year's one of the best teams in Tennessee. With Jayla Wyatt and Hendon Hooker going to the draft, they're not going to be as good in throwing, but they still have Nico, that rookie. His nickname is actually $8 million Nico. He will obviously be a successful quarterback for Tennessee when he starts, but I'm assuming this year is Joe Milton, since he is a junior or senior, I believe, and the highlights on the spring game did look pretty good for Joe Milton, so I'm assuming he gets the starting role. We have at number 13, legendary Bo Nix and Oregon, with former defensive coordinator of Georgia from last year, ended up taking the starting role. They did do pretty bad versus the Week 1 game versus Georgia, but since they've been doing pretty solid, they had a very nice stretch at the end of the season and wins. They did do okay in the start. It wasn't very good. The middle was pretty good. And overall, they're a good team. I guarantee he will put in the work. And if Bo Nix puts in the work, it equals a good season. He played in the SEC. Even though he didn't play insane, he can obviously play in the Pac-12, at least better than decent, since he played okay in the SEC. Number 14, Clemson, with future Hall of Fame 2-time national championship champion, I believe, or 3-time, Dabo Swinney. He's been a very good part. They have one of the best defense, with now Caden Klubnik coming in and taking the start this year. It will be a better part for them, and hopefully they do better as a program. They are definitely building that thing back up. And I can believe with Caden Klubnik they won't win a championship, but I can believe them making a college football plus. But I haven't seen Caden Klubnik start a season yet, but I have seen him start a game, so I'm not going to say that yet. That's why I have him at 14, because DJ started like 2 or 3 games, I think it was, and he ended up doing pathetic. But the second year, he did do actually pretty solid, like maybe 5th round draftable. He didn't do insane, but he is okay. We have at number 15, TCU. Last year lost their national championship, I believe, 63-3 versus Georgia. It was a sad performance, but I can believe them doing pretty solid this year, just because they made a national championship appearance. In the first year of Sonny Dykes, he did very good making a national championship and went undefeated, besides a loss to Kansas State in the Big 12 actually undefeated in the regular season. But Max Duggan, if I compared him to anyone, it would be Tim Tebow in that season. Mr. Quinn Ewers is going to be bringing Texas back into another good season. I can believe 10 wins, but I don't know for sure. but I do believe in it. I believe it is possible for Texas to come back in a big year, maybe 11 or 12 wins. I doubt it, but I believe it is possible with Quinn Ewers, former infinite recruit, what means every single rate was perfect rate. So I guarantee it is possible, but it would be hard if they couldn't do it last year when they had Bijan at the helm that could receive, rush, hurdle, do anything, juke, spin move. Number 17, we have UCLA with 5-star recruit Dante Moore switching his recruit from Oregon to UCLA. So I guarantee one of the reasons, I don't know for sure, but I guarantee it was because they were moving to Big 12, but actually I think Oregon is too. I don't know. But either way, UCLA is a good program. I think they can do good again. That's all it is about it. Especially if Dante Moore, that 5-star recruit, starts. I can believe him doing successful as a freshman from the high school highlights I saw earlier. At number 18, we have Lane Kiffin's boys and Ole Miss, who he did do pretty solid at FAU, then came to Ole Miss, instantly had an impact, proving that you can go from not Power 5 conference to Power 5 and instantly have an impact as a coach, even though it took 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. That's almost instantly, and he had a very good career there. And I can believe in 2 or 3 seasons I'm making an SEC championship run, and I can believe in 7 or 8 seasons I'm making a national championship run. Number 19, we have the comeback team of the year, Oregon State, getting a good 10 wins, proving that you can go from a pathetic year to coming back instantly like TCU did. They didn't come back like them, but they instantly came back, had a shock with their new coach. He dominated, put in the year, put in the work, got them to grind, and ended up getting a 10-win season. At number 20 this year, the surprise team last year went 11-2 and upset USC. You know how surprising that was to me. That was a heck of. At number 21, we have the myth, the legends, Texas Tech, with former NFL star and Patrick Mahomes. In fact, Baker Mayfield, Wisconsin, home of former NFL star Russell Wilson. Incredible program. At number 23, we have the most consistent team in UTS and SCUSA history in UTSA, who always the past few years since they've been a program did pretty solid. The first year as a program, I believe it was 2013, 2012. They had a 10-win season in their first year as a program. You know how. At number 24, we have the home of the former number 1 player in the country in Spencer Rattler at South Carolina. A very good school and talented. I do think they'll be back this year, but there's not much to talk about besides that upset, but I don't feel like it. First off, you're probably wondering why I put Kentucky here. First off, I love Devin Leary. Second off, they might have won 6-6, but the year before, they had over 10 wins with Mark Stoops coming back. They have a fresh new QBIs. Devin Leary, who proved himself at NC State. He didn't even have an insane coach well, I won't call him insane, but a pretty good coach. And you know, why do these names keep coming off my tongue? Will Levis, you know what I mean.